And which one do you want? Okay, what a minute. There we go. So I'll snip it. Or you want that one? Yeah. And then I just cut out the front part. So I'll sneak down to the office and you can do your lesson.
Okay. All right, so this is 6.2, comparing and ordering fractions, decimals, and percents. So what we're going to do is if we get a list of fractions, decimals, and percents, we're going to be able to compare them because sometimes it's hard when you see a fraction and a decimal that I asked to compare. So let's take out our first example. Okay, so there is a 7% sales tax or 1/20th sales tax. So in order to compare that, I would have to decide, do I want to put it into a fraction? Do I want to put it into a decimal? Do I want to do it into a percent? So I think the easiest way would probably be to put into decimals. So we remember, how do we take 7% and put that into a decimal? Well, I remember that this percent means 100, so 7% means 0.07, right? Because I moved my decimal, I go 1, 2. So this is 0.07% of the amount, so 0.07 tax, or I have 1/20th, so that would be 1 divided by 20, which will give me 1 divided by 20, and you can do this on your calculator, 0.05. So I'm looking at the two. The 7% would be 0.07 of my original cost, and the 1/20th would be 0.05 of my original cost. So, which would make my 7% greater. Okay? So let's carry on. And it's not always that we would have to put them into a decimal, but sometimes it is just easier. Oopsies. I had 0.37 cups of flour, or 1/3 cup of flour. Okay, hopefully some of you can do this mentally. I'm going to leave this decimal by itself, and I remember what 1/3 as a decimal means. 1 divided by 3, that gives me 0.03 repeating, which would make 0.37, right? Because this first one, I have a 3 and a 3, they're the same. And then I go to 7 and 3, therefore 0.37 cups of flour is greater than 1/3 cup of flour. Okay, that was pretty simple. I don't have to change both of them. I just have to put them into a form that's easier for me to see, which usually a decimal is a lot easier to compare. All right, so I have 5/8 of an inch wrench, or 0.375, which is also 375 thousandths of an inch. So I'm going to leave this because I like putting them into decimals. And then I'm going to take 5 divided by 8, right? Because that's how I find a decimal out of a fraction, which gives me 0.625. So I look at my 6, I look at my 3, 6 is greater, so 0.625 is greater. All right, we're going to our last one. Hopefully you are beginning to get this and understand it. This one have 12 3/5 dollars and $12.56. So what I can do is I can either put this fraction into an improper fraction because it's mixed right now, or I look and I already see there's a 12 and this decimal, and that means 12 plus 0.56. So what I could do also is I could have 12 plus 3/5, right? Because that is not a 5. Because that's exactly what 12 3/5 is. So if I figure out what 3/5 is, 3 divided by 5, that gives me 0.6. So I'm comparing 12.6, right, because I added them together, and 12.56. So I look at my decimal, 12.6, or 12 3/5 of a dollar is greater than 12.56. So hopefully that helps you to be able to compare and order decimals and